Durag back with another video. Let's just jump right in.
The Bubble Boys are 7-0. Who would have thought we'd be here? Certainly not Bleacher, of course.
Led by Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, and honestly, Dario Saric and campaign, the Suns are on their way to going 8-0, one game left against the Dallas Mavericks. So let's just kind of break down the last two games since the bubble began. The Suns have only had 2 games where they haven't scored at least 35 points in the second quarter. The first game where they didn't was in the first game of the bubble against the Washington Wizards. They weren't in their full rhythm, but after that first game, the only game they didn't score 35 points in the second quarter in was against Indiana, and they scored 36 in the third. So I think that kind of makes up for it. Consistently dropping 35 points in any quarter gives the Suns a tremendous ability to win any game. They have a synergy going right now that is almost unmatched. Their chemistry in the bubble is beyond anything of any team right now. If anybody has a shot to pull off the impossible, it's the Cinderella Suns, man. Well, you can feel it. You can almost taste it in how much these dudes are playing for each other and playing off of each other.
7-2 Oklahoma City lead. Booker on the drive, goes glass.
Mentally, you just let your guard down. This is something the Suns are going to really fight here in the first half.
Book on the turnaround. He had help coming to Chris Paul, but does not matter. Again, if you're tuning in late, no DeAndre Ayton in the starting lineup today as Book explodes to the rim. Paul looking for another 3.
You heard that guy, Edward.
Smooth shooter. Book on the drive and kick finds Booker cutting on the baseline.
That was a heck of a catch, man.
Step back triple. Book goes boom, but they're going to call it a long 2.
Suns have a 2-for-1 opportunity here, but you can't shoot it too quickly.
Booker working, gets right to the rim, hits the deck, and it looked for the and one. My plans are, I'm playing.
It's surprising because, you know, again, Chris Paul has had his injury problem over the years, without a doubt.
As a young player with his father, Melvin, who played professionally overseas, his Book goes boom from long range. Steps into the deep 3, and why not? Wow.
But Devin Booker is more likely to score 30 points in a game if you remove his rookie season from the equation than he is to not score 20 points. That just proves how consistent he's been given the circumstances. An elite offensive player. You cannot be that consistent and not be considered a gold standard at your craft.
So I tell you what, when your so-called revolution starts, you call me, and I'll be right down front showing you how it's done. But until then, you need to shut the fuck up when grown folks is talking. I'm sorry.
With love, without love, fuck it. I just count up, this bird loud up, thumbing. Rise above it, I've been hungry for some substance ever since I was a puppy. When distracted by no pussy, I was soaking up the info from the looking window. Embrace for what we in for, was the same for all my kinfolk. Now we get dope, dirty and soapy, they can't control me. My homies knew I was dope, so I was fucking up and I owed it. I turned the page that I wrote, these new chapters with hope. I was loathing, but no more, I keep glowing bright like the soul. Just like the soul, swear that I've been here before, but no deja vu to y'all spew and make you look stupid, yo. Cause your bae look cute and she look at me like she used Cupid bow. But I got a boo and she ain't spooking her, so you gotta go, bitch. Laid up on the cot, new visions I jot. I ain't hungry for your spots, searching for food for thought. Certain the filter is clogged and cluttered with useless convos on Twitter.
If you don't know how good this kid is, please go on YouTube. Watch his highlights. You'll be there all day. Next up, let's talk about Mikal Bridges. His last 2 games have been amazing. He came off a 18-point game and then followed that up with his best game of the bubble with 24 points. Dude has been shooting the lights out of the ball the last few games, going 8 of 13 from 3, and just being the two-way menace that we were expecting him to be on offense and defense after we saw him during the scrimmage games. He's starting.
I see you, bitch. You ain't never trying cake. If your lies don't corroborate it, who you try to say? Go lie to your mama face. Sometimes you try to waste. They say the truth on the way. Who really try to wait? Roll 3. Honestly, an eighth in a day ain't enough. Cause that shit put food on my plate. Other than that, still trying to plot and escape. So I pop in the tape and I jot till it's late. Talk to me only when you feel I'm gon' break. But be on the other line, saving faces. Tasteless, you say we need patience and you ain't even patient. Next thing I'm waiting off of fillers get erased, but I'm saying, looking like
He's starting to pick it up, and credit to Mikal for doing it at the right time. Devin Booker, Ricky Rubio, and Cam Johnson were struggling from 3 the last few games, and Mikal Bridges has made up for that with his play. You can't state how big his impact has been during this 7-0 stretch, guarding the team's best player night after night with very little backup help, playing the most minutes on the squad consistently. He's literally my favorite player on the Suns, and his game isn't flashy, you know what I'm saying? He does the dirty work, but he is my favorite player on the Suns. Shout out to Javon Carter as well, man. He's been amazing during this stretch. Consistently bringing the defense and the full court pressure against these guys who are not ready for that. They're pros. They ain't getting pressed anywhere. And the fact that he's able to stay up with them, force them to be uncomfortable, and consistently make shots on the other end, that's all that we've asked of this dude. And icing on the cake has been an 18-to-1 assist to turnover ratio during the bubble. Shout out Evan Sideri for that tweet here. But Javon Carter has been exactly what you want out of your backup. A defensive menace, he's hitting his threes, and he's sharing the ball and limiting his turnovers. And let's also talk about him hitting 13 out of 24 from 3. He's over 50% right now, and it's well deserved. Dude plays his ass off every time. Dario Saric has also continued to be a super sub. Shout out Super Dario for embracing that role. Coming off the bench and being the first wing in the rotation to get minutes off the bench, he's really done fantastic. He's been able to be a big body down low, create mismatches down there, and draw a lot of fouls, put teams in the bonus, and just make it easier for Devin Booker and Ricky Rubio and everybody else to get to the line eventually. And it's cool to see exactly the perfect role for Dario. That's the only way I can describe it, and Monty Williams gets all the credit in the world for that. Rubio has also been the steady veteran presence that we expected during this stretch. Dude's got World Cup championship experience, and that's showing up here. Making clutch plays, rebounding the ball, stealing the ball, playing hard defense, hitting his open threes. He's just doing exactly what this team needs of him, and I'd expect nothing less from him. Last guy I want to touch on is DeAndre Ayton. He's really struggled the last 2 games, and the box score may not indicate that, but we haven't seen the same defensive presence, defensive focus on that end of the court. We saw a 4-block, 2-steal game against Indiana, and while those are outrageous numbers for most players, a block a game and a steal a game isn't too much to ask from the anchor of your defense, and he's failed to reach either a block or a steal in the last few games, and it's disappointing because what we wanted to see from DA was utter domination like we're seeing from Booker. Granted, Booker's in year 5 and DA's in year 2. That curve should be factored into the equation. But I was anticipating a little bit more from DA, and maybe my expectations are too high. But we've consistently seen that this dude is only playing at about 15% of his potential. Same with Mikal Bridges. And that is the scariest proposition for opposing teams. These guys are only scratching the surface of their potential. Even Devin Booker, he's not shooting outrageous from 3 like these other guys. He's not taking a high volume of 3s like these other guys. So he's even less dangerous than he could be. And taking it back to DeAndre Ayton, the dude needs to dunk the freaking basketball. I don't mean his like, I'm over the rim, I'm just gonna softly drop it in. I mean, he needs to grab on, hang on the rim, and maybe get his leg into somebody's chest. And just let him know I'm a big body down here and this is my area. I'm tired of all these little soft dunk-ins that he be doing. When you draft a 7'1" Bohemian monster, you expect him to be a Bohemian monster. And the fact that he's more of a prototypical white European big man, how he plays, it's just kind of funny. Let's be real. You know, another thing I want to touch on is the mental toughness of this team. Down big at some points, not able to score at others, and they've continued to just be steady and go about their business and handle it at the end of games. These last 2 games against Oklahoma City and Philadelphia, they were shorthanded for sure. But the fact that the Suns came back after the second half and just took care of business is exactly what you want to see from a team who knows they deserve to be in the playoffs. So to end the video, I do want to talk about the standings. The Suns are in a winner-go-home situation. You've been hearing me say that throughout this bubble recap series, but legitimately it is now winner-go-home. Other times it was to even get to just this point. It was winner-go-home. But now it's official. The Suns are 7-0. They are literally in the thick of the playoff race. And if they win and Memphis or Portland lose, they have guaranteed themselves a shot at the play-in tournament. And that's all that we wanted out of this bubble. We wanted a shot at the playoffs. We wanted Devin Booker to play in meaningful games. We wanted DA to get more experience, Mikal and Cam. And that's exactly what we've seen. And we found 2 bench spark plugs in Cam Payne, Javon Carter. Let me make that 3 bench spark plugs with my boy Super Dario as well. I mean, the Suns have gained so much valuable information about their team and about themselves throughout this bubble that regardless if they win or lose or make it to the play-in game, it's been worth it. Thursday, the Suns play the Mavs at 1 p.m. So be on the lookout for that. Till next time, everybody, Do-Rag out.
Hey guys, this is Do-Rag Wallace. Thanks for coming to the channel. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'm on my way to try to get monetized, so, help a brother out. Till next time, man, Do-Rag out. Oh, also, link in the description to all the music, any articles and stuff that might be useful. Have a good day, fellas and ladies.